Hey guys, today we finally check out how well the best items in the game perform when using a battle robe with Cowardice. For that I'll be using the most promising weapons from the last two videos and put them to the final test. Here you can see their previous average times, and now I'm excited to show you how these times changed with the damage buff by the Splendid Robe and Cowardice. To start things off, we are going to use the Moondaggers. Naturally, Moondaggers create high variations in their times as they are very inconsistent due to them relying heavily on luck. Now I have to say that I was not surprised about how much Moondaggers increase in their killing speed. As all of the damage comes from the weapon itself, the Moondaggers are now a bit over 3 seconds faster than before, with a final average time of 6.24 seconds. Next up we have the Growing Staff. Now the last time the Growing Staff did not perform up to the high expectations we had, but let's see if the Growing Staff can surprise us now with the increased damage from the Robe and Cowardice. Now while the average time of the Growing Staff went down by about 2 seconds, it is already far off compared to the Moondaggers. I honestly expected more from the Growing Staff here again. In the end, the Growing Staff reached an average time of 8 seconds, 0.98, which puts it below most other weapons when they did not use the Splendid Robe and Cowardice. Next we go with the first Truth Seeker. Now I expect this variant to be affected less by the damage buffs, as its main damage comes from swirling and shockwave. Yet I wanted to put that variant in the comparison so that we can see the difference that the damage buff actually has when we compare it to the second variant of the Truth Seeker. Now overall I don't think that this variant performed bad, as it still improved its time by about 3 seconds. And with 8 seconds, 0.33, it is not too bad, especially considering that this variant can be used for mob clearing too. For the second Truth Seeker, I had really high expectations. This purely on weapon damage based variant should benefit a lot from the damage buffs, but let's see how it performs. Now this weapon exceeded my expectations, an improvement by about 5 seconds, ending up with an average time of 6 seconds, 0.44, and by that being comparable to the Moondaggers was really unexpected. Then we have a look at the first of two whirlwinds. Now originally I did not plan for the whirlwinds to be in this final test, but as many people like double axes, I thought we should at least give it a chance. I was actually pretty surprised by seeing that the Whirlwind, being not our typical boss killer, performed pretty solid in this, and ended up with an average time of 8 seconds, 0.27. I didn't have high hopes for the Whirlwind, but this weapon too surprised me a lot with its performance. On the second Whirlwind I used Swirling instead of Sharpness, just to see if Sharpness with the other damage buffs will outperform Swirling this time. Now while the Sharpness variant got a little closer to the Swirling variant that ended up with 8 seconds, 0.08 on average, Swirling is still a little stronger, and as it is better for mob clearing, I'd always take Swirling over Sharpness here. Next I try Fighter's Bindings with Swirling and Shockwave. This variant of Fighter's Bindings is one that I use on my real character too, and I'm really satisfied with their performance, yet I've never compared it to something else. That Fighter's Bindings are really fast is no secret, so naturally they would end up pretty high on the list as well. With a time of 6 seconds, 0.41, they fit in with Truth Seeker and Moondaggers. Now we have a look at the second bindings with Committed instead of Shockwave, as they performed better than the Shockwave variant without the damage buffs, and the Shockwave variant already performed really good here. My expectations are really high for this one. Now this variant of Fighter's Bindings is just crazy and totally lived up to my expectations. With 5.78 seconds, this is the first weapon we saw going below 6 seconds on average. And finally, the Pickaxe. How good will it be in comparison with these incredibly strong weapons with the damage buff? Most of the Pickaxe's damage is coming from swirling and shockwave due to its one-hit combo and fast attack speed, so it should not benefit a lot from the damage buffs. The Pickaxe only improved by a little less than 2 seconds, but that doesn't make it a bad weapon. In this test it ended up with 6 seconds, 0.72 on average. Even though it is not the fastest weapon to kill the boss here, keeping in mind its incredible power in terms of mob clearing, this weapon is still amazingly strong. Now to give you a better view of how much each weapon was affected by Cowardice and the 30% damage buff, I calculated the overall percentage increase of kill speed I measured. Now the first thing I want to point out is the growing staff. I'm very sorry for all the growing staff fans, but it doesn't look like it's nearly as strong as everyone says it is. The top tier weapon for boss kills are still Fighter's Bindings. And with mob clearing enchants they are still about as good as perfect boss killing Moondaggers or Truth Seekers, and that alone says a lot about the power level of Fighter's Bindings. While the Pickaxe didn't outperform all weapons in this test, it is still clear that the Pickaxe is super powerful. For a 1 second faster boss kill you could switch to perfect boss killing bindings, but to be honest I don't think it matters if it takes 5.78 seconds or 6.72 seconds to kill the mushroom monstrosity on average. And on lower HP enemies the difference is even smaller. Doing these tests was very interesting and I was surprised by a lot of the results. Especially the growing staff and the whirlwind results surprised me a lot. Also seeing which weapons are affected the most by the damage buffs and how big the differences can be was very interesting to see. Now I hope you liked this video, and if you did you might want to check out the other videos I made testing the various top tier weapons without other damage buffs. And that is all for today. Thank you all for watching and hope to see you next time. Bye bye!